An eerie calmness in Auckland this morning. Those living along the coast heading out for a morning stroll, some a surf as if it were just another rainy day.
Probably the best day of the year so far.
Nice bit of a break from school maybe?
Yeah, it's kind of...
Back to school after this though, Oki? Online learning.
Oh, it was awesome. The weather was perfect. Not too wavy this time. Usually it's a bit wavier than that.
Well, certainly like this. At the moment it's not intense.
Well, I had a really good sleep. Once I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping.
However, washed up debris, fallen trees and collapsed banks, a reminder of what these waves and wild winds can do as Cyclone Gabrielle moves in.
A number of locals gathered here this morning, spades in hand, helping clear debris from this stream which runs directly between coastline houses. We spoke to a number of residents, many who said they feel terrified over what's to come as massive waves continue to crash just metres from their front doors.
There was a bit of stuff got washed up here last night. A lot of storm surge was coming up. It took out the bridge down the bottom, and then a lot of this debris coming up. Someone was down here yesterday, I think, and dug out a lot of the stuff for us already. But we were just next door, and we thought, well, if there's a lot of rain that's supposed to be coming down the creek this afternoon, we thought, well, good idea to try and open it up a little bit.
A lot of the shoreline's been carved away. Down by the park there, the bridge is gone, and that's widened out dramatically. And a lot of these areas have sculpted out just further and further, and even now at half tide the water's coming right up to shore, which means a lot of the sand is gone as well.
Last night was terrible. I was awake nearly all night. Somebody was throwing cricket balls on the roof. I don't know what it was. Bang, 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 you know.
Northland and the Coromandel Peninsula, meanwhile, were hammered overnight. About 58,000 properties have been left without power, while crews work around the clock to clear widespread damage to the roads. Emergency services had more than 200 weather-related call-outs, while Opotiki district, the latest to declare a state of emergency. Forecasters are warning Gabrielle is still intensifying and spreading too, with officials urging Aucklanders especially to stay alert.
The impact of Gabrielle is still in its early stages, and further serious and severe weather is still expected for Tamaki Makaurau later today and into Tuesday morning. Now is not the time for complacency. Please follow the advice on official channels and keep informed of updates. Be prepared to leave if you need to, and look out for one another.
Weather warnings remain in place for much of the North Island heading into this evening, with the worst of the wild weather set to hit overnight. As Gabrielle looms, the message to stay prepared.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.